The hardest part was not that he hurt you, it was that he looked sorry after. And that look made you start hoping again. A man can regret what he did and still keep hurting you the same way. That is what kept you confused. He said he knew he messed up. His voice was lower. His face looked tired. Maybe he even reached for your hand, like he finally understood what he put you through. And for a moment, your body softened. Not because the pain was gone, because you thought, maybe now it will be different. But then life went right back to what it was. You were still the one waking up unsure what version of him you were getting. Still reading his tone like it was a warning sign. Still trying to enjoy your day while part of you stayed alert, waiting to see if he would go cold again. That is the part you have to look at. His regret gave you relief. It did not give you safety. A woman can survive a lot on relief. One soft apology, one long message, one late-night call where he finally sounds honest, one moment where he says, "I hate that I hurt you." And now you are standing in the kitchen, staring at nothing, thinking maybe this means something solid is still here. But then, 2 days later, he is distant again, dry again, hard to reach again. And now you are right back in that familiar place, trying not to ask too much, trying not to ruin the progress, acting calm when your chest is tight, putting the phone down, picking it back up, telling yourself not to make this a bigger deal, even while your whole mood is being dragged around by a man who already knows what this does to you. That is why his regret changed so little. It touched your pain, but it did not change his pattern. Feeling bad after hurting you is not the same as becoming safe for you. A man can mean his apology and still leave you carrying the same confusion next week. That was the trap. You kept mistaking guilt for change, and once you do that, you start giving him credit for feeling bad instead of asking what actually got better. You kept telling yourself his regret had to mean something. Not because you were blind, because that was the only way to make the pain feel less pointless. If he felt bad enough, then maybe what happened between you was still real. Maybe you were not just a woman he hurt and then returned to when the guilt got loud. Maybe his apology meant he finally saw your value. Maybe the way he looked at you that day mattered more than the way he kept leaving you unsettled. That is the story you used to stay. You did not need some big speech from him. Sometimes it was smaller than that. He would go quiet for days, then come back softer. He would ask if you were okay in that careful voice, like he knew he had crossed a line. And because he was not cold in that moment, you started cleaning up the whole mess in your own mind. You told yourself he was trying. You told yourself this was hard for him too. You told yourself a man does not sound that sorry unless something real is there. But look at what you had to do to keep that story alive. You had to ignore how fast the warmth disappeared. You had to act like one honest night covered 10 confusing ones. You had to keep lowering the standard from, "Can I trust this man?" to, "Did he seem sincere when he said sorry?" That is a painful drop, and you felt it. You felt it when you were getting dressed to see him and already bracing yourself. You felt it when a good conversation with him did not calm you down. It only bought you a little time before the doubt came back. You felt it when your friend asked, "So what changed?" And all you had was his tone, his face, his regret. That is what kept you stuck. You were not holding on to change. You were holding on to the meaning of his remorse. And a woman can stay trapped a long time when she treats his guilt like proof of love. Then every new hurt gets compared to the apology instead of the damage it keeps causing. His regret did not repair the damage. It just kept you standing in the damage longer. That may sound small when you say it fast, but it was not small in your life. It got into your days, your body, and the simple things that should never have depended on one man's mood. You could be fine in the morning, doing normal things, answering people, trying to stay present, and then one short reply from him changed the whole temperature of your day. Not because you were too sensitive, because your peace was tied to a man who kept pulling it away and handing it back like it was nothing. That wears a woman down. You stopped relaxing all the way. Even on the good days, part of you stayed prepared. You would hear your phone and feel that quick drop in your stomach before you even looked. You would sit across from friends and act normal while half your mind was still back in the last conversation, replaying one line, one pause, one shift in his voice. You were there, but not fully there. And it got worse than that. You started editing yourself before he even did anything. You kept some questions to yourself. You delayed bringing things up. You told yourself, not tonight, not now. Let me not ruin the mood. That is a high price to pay just to keep a little closeness alive. When his regret still leaves you scared to speak plainly, the apology did not fix the problem. It only made the problem quieter for a minute. He may have felt bad. He may even have meant it. But while he was feeling bad, you were living bad. You were losing sleep after the good talks, because now you had fresh hope to protect. You were checking for signs, measuring his tone, trying to tell whether this time was real. That is not what safety feels like. That is still confusion. It just came with a softer voice this time. And once you see that, you also have to see something harder. His remorse was not healing you. It was teaching you to survive on brief relief and call that progress. Now, listen to me carefully. Do not turn against yourself just because you stayed too long after he said he was sorry. You were not stupid for wanting that regret to mean something. You were hurt. And when a woman is hurt by a man she cared about, she does not only want the pain to stop, she wants it to make sense. She wants some sign that she was not that easy to wound and then leave behind. That is why his regret reached you so deeply. It was about what you hoped the apology proved, that you mattered, that he saw what he did, that you had not imagined the closeness, that maybe all the waiting, all the swallowing things, all the nights you lay there staring at the ceiling after one cold exchange had not been for nothing. That does not make you weak. It makes you human. A woman can sit in her car after seeing him, hands still on the wheel, and replay one gentle sentence for 20 minutes because she needs it to be real. She can stand in the bathroom before bed, looking tired, and tell herself, maybe this is the turn. Maybe now he understands. Not because she is desperate, because it is hard to let go when you still want the pain to mean something. But do not confuse that with innocence on his side. You do not have to call him evil to admit he was not safe for you. You do not have to prove he planned every wound to admit he kept wounding you. Maybe he was selfish. Maybe he was emotionally lazy. Maybe he only reached for you hard when he felt your distance. Whatever the reason, you were still the one paying for it. That is the part I do not want you to miss. You can have compassion for the woman who wanted his regret to mean change, but you do not have to pretend it did. He felt bad, yes, but he still left you carrying the same ache, the same guessing. And once a woman stops blaming herself for believing, she gets quiet enough to ask the harder question. If his regret was real, why did your life with him still feel this hard? So here is where you start coming back. Not by proving you are over it, not by hardening your heart, just by stopping one thing that has kept you tied to the same pain. Stop treating his regret like fresh evidence. That is the step. When he reaches out sounding heavy, when his voice softens, when he says he hates what happened, do not rush to build a future out of that moment. Leave it where it is. Let it be what it is. A feeling, a sentence, a man feeling guilty in one moment. Do not turn it into a promise he did not keep, because that is how you start protecting yourself now. You do not need to argue with him. You do not need a final speech. You do not need to explain for the 100th time what this has done to you. You need to stop reopening the case every time he sounds sorry. Maybe tonight, that means you do not go back and read the old messages where he finally seemed sincere. Maybe it means when your mind starts saying, "But he did care," you answer with something plainer. "Caring did not make this safe for me." Maybe it means you stop checking his tone for proof that this could still become what you needed. That is not revenge. That is you getting honest. And yes, it may still hurt. Of course it will. You cared. You wanted the regret to mean you were not easy to lose. There is nothing shameful about that. But you do not need any more proof now. He already showed you the part that matters most. He could feel bad and still leave you carrying the same confusion. Take that in. A woman starts getting steadier when she stops asking if his remorse was real and starts asking if life with him was peaceful. That answer is usually much clearer. So do not call yourself foolish for loving him. Just stop calling his regret a reason to stay open. Put your hand back on your own life. That is enough for today.